Hello everybody and welcome back to APPF1 Tier 2. We're here for Season 17 of the league and you join us here in the Circuit of the Americas in Texas for what will be round one of a brand new season on a brand new game. We had the all-new Tier 3 heading out on circuit yesterday to start off this new APPF1 season. Huge thank you to Lawrence and JB for covering that on stream yesterday. Huge help, and I'm sure the drivers very much appreciated it as well. And Tier 3 was a resounding success, so let's continue that trend here as we join Tier 2 at the same circuit today. Hello to Kevin and Rick in the chat. We've already got some win predictions in the chat. We've got Rick going for Sumo, Kevin going for Aces. Big gamble there with Aces' last form in the last couple of seasons, but it's a brand new game, brand new beginnings. Who knows where the pace will eventually lie? And of course we do have the APPF1 fantasy going on, so that has influenced Kevin's choice there. He's got Aces in his fantasy team, so very much looking forward to this. I've been excited for this all of this month, and it is an absolute pleasure to be back in the commentary box with you to bring you this fantastic event. It's going to be Nemesis, former Tier 1 driver, Tier 2 this season. He's going to start us off in the Red Bull as he heads around the final corner and down towards turn 1. Gets that DRS on and uses some of the battery down towards this first corner. Hello to Triku in the chat. Shame you couldn't make it to the race today, Triku, but good to see you in the chat regardless, as Nemesis takes us through turn 1. A little wide at the apex there, but turn 2 a little better, flat out through this whole S section. It should be a little lift through there, and of course a lift through this right-hander as he heads to the last corner of Sector 1. Tricky one, that corner. It looks simple, but it's you've got to slow down a lot more than you think you do as he now heads through that very tricky section right at the start of Sector 2. So easy to lose the rear through there, but Nemesis nicely glued to the track as he heads through that part of the circuit. Now very nicely done for the apex of that left-hander, heading onto this long straight where we're going to see plenty of overtakes today, I'm sure. Down towards this heavy braking zone for the left-hander. Misses the apex slightly, but he won't be too unhappy with that as he heads into the final sector. 1 minute 2.8 in the middle sector. We'll keep note of that as the other drivers get their laps in. And now very tricky, twisty and turny final sector for Nemesis. Easy to get a corner wrong and lose the rear on exit. Such a small amount of grip on this circuit there can be, but Nemesis nicely through that completely blind penultimate corner, and now the final corner again really hard for traction, but Nemesis comes across the line. A 33.907 is the initial benchmark. Let's see what Jack Alaco can do as he heads towards the final corner now. 1 minute 30, 31, 32, 33. The Season 10 champion slots in just under a tenth behind Nemesis. I do have cockpit audio on. I prefer to drive like that, so I will mess with that setting once there's a lull in qualifying and get that off. Kevin now goes to the top of the pile, a 33.8, and Tia destroys that time in his Williams. 33.4 from Tier 727. He'll be very happy with that time. And here is the Season 15 champion, Enchilada Dad, a 33.1 from the VCARB driver. Gets himself onto provisional pole. RJ, yesterday's winner in Tier 3, goes to P2. He loves this circuit, does RJ. His home Grand Prix, of course. So we'll see what he can do around here in Tier 2, but it certainly looks like he's got some decent pace for sure around here. And he's a bit laggy, unfortunately, but hopefully that doesn't cause too many problems in the race. Drogon starting a lap. Lovely to see him back on circuit. There's Aces. It goes to 14th with an uninspiring lap. I'm sure there's room to improve there. Robsu only 14th for now. Pepito up to 12th. One of the newbies for the season, along with Randro in the Mercedes. The man from Uruguay. First ever driver in APP from Uruguay. So good to see new nationalities in the league. He is joined by Koru. I know it says temp and then a bunch of numbers, but I promise you that is Koru. A very, very long time ago in APP, Koru was a regular in Tier 1. Back on, I believe, probably F1 2021, I think, was the last time Koru raced here in APP. He is back for this season and racing here in Tier 2. Having a lovely old time, hopefully. It's great to see so many new faces and old faces as a Mercedes comes onto the circuit and takes out the Sauber. I've no idea what happened there. That looked like it was Koru. The camera's glitching all over the place. Maybe we've got to assume that it was a mistake. I don't know what's happening to the sky there. But that is a horrible rejoin from the Mercedes. Not sure what happened there. Hopefully nothing nefarious going on. But Aces, meanwhile, in his Alpine, heading to the last sector, but he's massively cut the corner there at the penultimate turn, and he is going to be heading into the pits after an invalidation. It's a really hard corner, that one. It's completely blind if you don't have the racing line on. So difficult to get right, as True Loki God is going to be the next to start a qualifying run. Is Kevin VDL on lap? He is indeed 2 tenths up on his previous best as he heads into the latter stage of Sector 2. We'll see where he is at the sector line coming up just about now. He is now 6.5 tenths, so Kevin looking to assert himself at the top of the standings here in this early part of qualifying. I think he's gone, yeah, he's on the same tyres as he did his first lap on, so it's very impressive from Kevin. Let's see what he can do as he heads through the final sector now. Can he nail the rest of this lap? Gets the penultimate corner spot on and down to the final corner. This is going to be a strong lap from Kevin in the Red Bull. DRS open to the line. It's a 32.9. It is pole position, but Enchiladad still very much in contention there. Lawrence D, 2-time Tier 2 champion on circuit as well, starting his first run out there as a true Loki God. He's racing in Tier 2 and 3 this season. In his debut season in APPF1, he's unfortunately invalidated that attempt, though. Robsu, by the way, who struggled in qualifying over the last year, pretty much. It's been the defining characteristic, really, of his APP career in the last year, his struggles in qualifying, but not today for now. He's up into 5th place is the Finnish driver, so he'll be very happy with that. Although I will say I think the times are slower than expected for now, so I think there's going to be a lot of improvements to come as the session goes on. Lawrence then coming through the last couple of corners in his Alpine. What can he manage to start off his Tier 2 campaign? He's used all his ERS up, so he's not going to get any out this final corner. DRS open, though, and it's a 34.1. He is down in 14th, but he's not far off at all. Look how close those times are between 5th and 14th. Less than 2.5 tenths between 10 drivers. So it's very, very close out there as Lawrence duly gets out of the way of another car. JB as well, down in 15th. He'll be disappointed with that. Alex G on circuit as well in his Ferrari. Had a decent outing in qualifying in Tier 3 yesterday, but the race not quite going to plan for the Ukrainian driver, unfortunately, so we'll be hoping to make amends today in Tier 2. It's a 3.0 big lockup, though, into that first corner of Sector 3. And, well, he's about on Lawrence's sort of pace, maybe a tenth quicker than Lawrence. So, I mean, to be fair, the times are so close that that could translate to 5 or 6 places higher than Lawrence. But with that big lockup, I think he's going to struggle here. Through the last couple of corners he goes. What's it going to be for the Ferrari driver? Partnering Sumo once again this season for the, I believe, 4th season in a row. It might even be 5, but he comes across the line in 15th. 34.298 for now. Kevin O'Reilly saying that Alex showed how good the undercut was yesterday, so interesting to see if anyone uses it today. Indeed, yeah. I did manage to watch that back, and I saw how he managed to make it work. But Nemesis, meanwhile, up to second place. It's a Red Bull front row lockout at the moment. But look at this man, Enchiladad, P3 at the moment. His time trial times weren't the best in sign-ups, which possibly caused a bit of a ruckus in the paddock, but he's clearly back with a vengeance as soon as he's actually on track, and the Irish driver will be looking to get his second title in Tier 2 this season. Welcome to Denko in the chat. Thank you so much for being here, even if it is brief. But great to see you. Hope you're doing well, mate. And hope we can see you on track again at some point. Pepito 2 goes to 5th place. An impressive lap from the McLaren driver. We're just going to quickly check in on the Tier 3 pole time from yesterday. It was a 33.0. So actually, we are expecting, in theory, a lot of these times to be quicker than they are. Even third in Tier 2 yesterday was a 33.4. So I think we're expecting some quicker times as the session progresses. But we'll see how things go as Sumo Gilligan, he loves this circuit, and he puts himself onto 3rd place on the grid for now. Enchiladad, though, coming through the last sector, in the last corner even, he's just under a 10th up. RJ Blair does an incredible lap of a 32.7. Enchiladad goes to P2, but it's nothing compared to that lap that RJ has just put out. And, well, I think we may be getting a promotion for RJ in due course, or maybe getting him to turn his line off in Tier 3 if he continues this pace over the next race or two. I know he loves this circuit here in Texas, but we'll see what his pace is like elsewhere. But that is an absolute stonker of a lap from RJ Blair. That is 3/10 quicker than what he did yesterday. So big step up from the American driver at his home circuit. But plenty more laps to come in. Pepito peeling off just to let people through. Nicely done from him, as Randro has invalidated, unfortunately, his current run. Robsu heading through turn 1 for his next attempt. Meanwhile, the Finnish driver down in P9, but you know, this is higher than he has been or higher than we're used to seeing him from his previous Tier 2 campaigns over the last year in qualifying. So he'll be reasonably happy with where he is, but everyone else behind him so close to that time. So he does need to improve, you feel, if he wants to be safely in the top 10. Right, I'm just going to mess with my audio quickly while there's a lull. Where is the setting? Where is the setting? Can't find the setting. Is it 3D audio? No. Speaker type? Oh, onboard mix. There we go. Broadcast is probably it. Yeah, broadcast. Let's go with that. That's a bit better. There we go. Yeah, I prefer the driver audio when I'm actually in the cockpit, so that's why I've got that on. But Robsu, meanwhile, coming through the last couple corners while we were messing with my audio settings. And now Robsu into the final corner. Hello to Drogon in the chat. Yeah, what happened, Drogon? I'd love to know what happened as Robsu improves by 2.5 tenths. He stays in P9, but it's a lot more secure than it was a minute ago. So he'll be decently pleased with that. Koru, meanwhile, 2 tenths down in the middle sector, so I don't think an improvement is coming from the Mercedes driver. But he's coming into the pits now. Koru killed me. How though? I saw him come back on track. Was he out of control? Like, I'm not sure what happened there, Drogon. I couldn't. The angle on the broadcast wasn't particularly good. But yeah. Anyway, if it was deliberate, we'll deal with it later. Alex G, meanwhile, through turn 1. He's currently down in 16th position, so a long way down on the rest of the pack for now. Although, you know, to be fair, not that far down. Aces versus Kings obviously hasn't got a proper lap out there yet. He's on an out lap right now, so he'll be looking to improve, but he's not got much time left. This qualifying time, this qualifying session has gone like a flash. We're already only 2.5 minutes left. Feels like we're only halfway through, but Aces doesn't have a lot of time here to get a decent lap in, and if he's not careful, he's going to be starting this race all the way towards the back of the grid. Who have we got on a lap? Tier in the Williams. He was on provisional pole just about 10 minutes ago, but not anymore, of course. Down in P7 now, 7.5 tenths down on that wonderful time from RJ Blair. As Tier now comes through into the final sector, can he find a significant improvement? The British driver narrowly missed out on a title in Tier 2 in Season 8. And since then, he's been sort of challenging for podiums here and there, but he's never really reached the dizzying heights of that season again since then. He does improve by quite a bit, though, 2.5 tenths from the Williams driver, and he gets up one position to P6 for his troubles. JB, his teammate, meanwhile, a long way down and into the pits for JB. So this is a real shock. First shock of the day for sure. JB down in 15th at best at this circuit in qualifying. Not the greatest start to his season. And you have to imagine that Alex G can probably find a 10th from somewhere and depose JB even further. And Aces obviously hasn't got a time on the board at all yet. We're riding on board with him now. He's coming through the final sector. He was quite some way up, so he is going to continue this lap, but he's got to make sure he doesn't make the same mistake at the penultimate corner as he did last time. Here he goes down towards this corner, absolutely blind, and he has to slow down. That is not how he would have wanted to take that corner, I can assure you. But through the final corner he goes. DRS open for the Alpine driver, and he gets himself into the top 10. P10 for Aces versus Kings. Alex G is improving by 1.5 tenths, and he doesn't lock up this time at the same corner. So JB, I think, in real danger of being 17th here. And if True Loki God can improve, it could get even worse for the British driver. This is a real shock to see JB this low. He just hasn't been able to put a lap together. Enchiladadad not improving in Sector 1, but plenty of time left in the rest of the lap. RJ, his session's over. He's retired in the pits, but Kevin is 3.5 tenths up. Here we go then. The last lap's coming in. Nemesis not improving in the first sector. What about the middle sector? No, he's gained a bit of time back, but he's still down on his best. Sumo is a 10th up. Plenty of time left to go, though, and plenty more laps to come in. Kevin then, through the last couple of corners he goes in his Red Bull. Down towards the final corner. Can the Tier 2 debutant get it on pole position? Yes, he can. A 32.5 from Kevin. Very nice indeed. Takes RJ down from the top spot. Enchilada improving by a 10th, but he's going to need a lot more than that. Nemesis is done. No improvement for him. Sumo's a 10th up as well. Randro out of nowhere gets to P3. Enchiladadad, the season 15 champion. What can he do through the final corner? Can he gain anything? No. He gains just under a 10th, but it's not enough to change his position. He stays P4. Sumo, no improvement for the Ferrari driver. He stays in 6th. Ace is into the pits. Cavalis is invalidated. What can LB do as Lawrence goes to P9? Big improvement for him. True Loki God to 5th place. What a lap from him. LB then, what can he do at the final corner? Any big improvement for him? He stays down in 12th for now. Cavalis is invalidated, so that is going to be that. A breakneck ending to this first qualifying session of the season, and it is Kevin who gets himself on pole position here in Texas with RJ Blair alongside him on the front row. Randro on P3 on debut with Enchiladadad in 4th. It's True Loki God, big lap from him at the end, a 32.9 to get P5. Nemesis in 6th, and then it's Sumo Tier, Koru who will get a 5-place grid penalty for the collision, Pepito, Lawrence, LB, Robsu, Aces down in 14th, Cavalis, Jack Alaco down in 16th, JB down in 17th, and then Alex G couldn't improve in the end, and Drogon, of course, was not able to get a lap in. Oof. Fascinating start to the season. Alright, so it looks dry for the race, at least to start with. And I've just seen in the Discord that Koru is very apologetic. It was simply a misjudgment, nothing deliberate, just a huge misjudgment on his part. So he's very apologetic to Drogon, and that's good to see, because it did look real bad on stream. I won't lie to you guys. But here we go then. Kevin on pole in his first Tier 2 race with alongside him. Who was it alongside him on the front row? I've forgotten now, in typical fashion. But it's going to be a fascinating start to this race, because we've got a lot of new drivers towards the front. We've got Randro in P3 as well on debut. So we'll see how this goes. Pepito, very impressive. True Loki got very impressive as well towards the front. We're about to get going. 3, 4, 5, red lights. And we're underway for the American Grand Prix in the start of Season 17. We've got a Williams nearly into the wall further back, but it's Kevin who gets a great start off the line. RJ just behind him in the Aston Martin retains P2 with Enchiladadad up to third. Nemesis trying to get past Randro for fourth as well, and does so. Randro's now got True Loki God on his inside. They go side by side through the S's. Surely not. It's contact as they head through, and Loki God loses position to Pepito as a result. It was brave, and it didn't quite go to plan. We've got cars all over the place further back. I'm not sure what's happened to Sumo. He's down to 15th place as Enchiladadad makes a move on the Aston Martin of RJ. Nemesis trying to follow him through up towards the next left-hander. Sumo spun further back in the Ferrari. It's a disastrous start to his campaign, as Loki God now getting past Randro, who I think had a bit of a moment out of the left-hander. Loki God trying to make up another position in his Haas up to P5. Can he get down the inside of Pepito? He goes for it on the brakes. It's a lovely send, and he gets the move done. No, he doesn't quite. Pepito manages to hold on, but great racing between the two to start off with there. Let's have a look at the position changes. It's absolute chaos up and down the grid. Aces is up 5 positions. What a start for him after a lackluster qualifying. It's going to be another position as he goes down the inside of Randro for the triple right-hander, and he gets that done. Lovely stuff from the British driver. He'll be delighted with this first lap. As Lawrence up 1, Robsu up 2. We've got JB up 4 as well after his dismal qualifying. Cavalis up 3, but it's Aces who's had the start of dreams. 6 positions on lap 1. What a start for him. Pepito at 4 as well as Sumo heads into the pit lane. He will be furious in that cockpit, I'm sure, as RJ has spun. RJ Blair, yesterday's race winner in Tier 3, has gone round in Sector 1, and he will be disappointed with that after such a strong qualifying performance. Him and Sumo have had pretty much the worst starts they possibly could have. Randro going for a move on the inside of Aces. It was never ever going to pay off going for that one there, and he inevitably ends up sideways after that one. We've got Lawrence, I think, going down the inside of Robsu here. What a move this would be from the British driver. Randro getting a penalty as well further back as he gets out of everyone's way. That's a disastrous debut for him so far, unfortunately. That's now Lawrence and the inside of Robsu once again down towards the tight left-hander after the long straight, and he gets that one done as well. It's the 2 Alpines in 6 and 7. Fantastic start for them. We've got positions changing up and down the field. I cannot keep track of all of it. It's almost impossible, but I'm doing my best. Koru P14 as the 2 Alpines now swap. Lawrence getting past Aces. I imagine probably a mistake from his teammate there as Robsu gets past as well, and there's front wing damage there on that Alpine. I've just noticed no front left end plate for Aces, and that's going to be an early pit stop for him. So let's have a look at tyres now then. Most of the grid starting on the mediums with LB and Drogon starting on the hards. Interestingly, it's been a great start for Drogon as well, from last on the grid to 12th. JB's made the most of his start as well, as Drogon's under pressure from Koru now into turn 1. Randro retires in the pit lane. But here comes Cora around the outside of the first S's, and he gets that move completed through there. Lovely stuff. Lovely racing between these two drivers who, of course, made contact in qualifying. So clearly no animosity between the two, which is nice to see. As Drogon gets the first track limits penalty of the day. And I assure you guys, it will not be the last by any means. Here comes Jack Alacco now down towards this left-hander. Around the outside, he tries to go. But meanwhile, at the front, we've got Nemesis getting a move done on Enchiladad because Kevin is streaking clear of the rest of the field at the moment, with Nemesis now making it a Red Bull 1-2, but I'm sure Ench is going to follow him through, or follow him along at least for now. Popito, meanwhile, in P4, he's having a fantastic race in that McLaren. He was sort of neither here nor there in Tier 3. He had a decent race, but he did have a slight incident with Loki God towards the end. So he'll have been disappointed with his result in the end. So this is a chance for him to redeem himself in Tier 2 here. A little bit of a slide through the final corner there, not going to help his cause, but I don't think Loki God got it particularly well either. So things finally maybe calming down on lap 4 now. It has taken that long, as Nemesis now charging after his teammate and dragging Enchilada with him. So the Irish driver will be happy with how this is transpiring so far. RJ making a move on Drogon up to 14th after his spin earlier on. He is recovering at the moment. Next is his teammate for today, Jack Alacco. RJ just a reserve for today, but he might turn into a permanent Tier 2 driver at some point if this pace does continue. But meanwhile, we've got Kevin out front with Nemesis 1.5 seconds behind. Enchilada has got the DRS now, so he's going to be able to gain some time back on that Red Bull, but he does seem to be struggling in terms of pace compared to these two a little bit. So he's got to fight hard, does the Season 15 champ. And those two Red Bulls look very, very strong early in this race. True Loki God, meanwhile, under pressure now from Lawrence, as the Haas's pace is starting to show, or lack thereof. He got himself into a great position in qualifying, and he managed to stay there for the first few laps, but I think maybe the race pace is more in the favour of the two-time Tier 2 champion here, Lawrence, in his Alpine, as True Loki God in fact responds to that by pitting. Extremely early pit stop from the Haas driver, maybe looking for the undercut that he saw Alex G get in Tier 3 yesterday. So we'll see if that works out for him. We've got Nemesis still about 1.5 behind Kevin, so not much has changed in that situation. Enchilada struggling to live with him. And remember, F1 25, new game, new rules, and the dirty air is a lot more prevalent on this game. It costs you a lot more time than it used to. You really feel the understeer as soon as you get in the wake of another car. And Enchilada struggling through Sector 1. That is Koru, meanwhile, round further back, unfortunately for him. So he's going to be down all the way to the back with wing damage as well. But Enchilada, does he have the DRS? I don't think he does. I think he missed out. So I think he might have to just live to fight another day on this one and just defend from Popito behind instead. It is all aboard the Lawrence train at the moment, now that Loki God has come into the pit lane, but Robsu not able to make a move as of yet, but there is a move from LB further back. The two-time Tier 2 champion himself gets down the inside of Tier and makes that move, as Aces spins further back in Sector 1, and Cavalis has a moment as well and ghosts through this final sector, and LB makes another position as a result. There's mistakes happening up and down the grid pretty much every lap at the moment. The driver's really struggling to get to grips with this new Circuit of the Americas track on this year's game. It's not a new track, but it's probably going to feel like it on a new game as Cavalis heads into the pits. I think that might be wing damage on the Sauber driver's car. Possibly an incident that caused that spin rather than a spin on his own, possibly contact that has broken his front wing, but of course we can't say for sure. We did not see that happen. But Robsu Still chasing after Lawrence for now. He's now got LB for company instead. On those hard tyres, the Haas driver doing very well at the moment. As Pepito is doing an excellent job in that McLaren right now. He's not catching Enchilada Dad, but he is certainly maintaining the gap to Lawrence. And, well, after his Tier 3 performance yesterday, this was not expected at all. I think the pace difference between Tier 2 and 3, not all that much, perhaps, on this particular circuit. Maybe it'll be more pronounced on other circuits, because COTA is a bit of a weird track, I think, at times, in terms of the pace. Kevin says, I think time penalties will decide this, just like it did in the sprint at COTA. And yesterday, he says he only won in COTA because he avoided the penalties. Well, very true. I remember that well, Kevin. I remember that well. Still got P3, though, so I wasn't too unhappy. But, yes, Kevin now is the other Kevin is under pressure from his teammate Nemesis. These two look to be the class of the field so far today. No one really in their vicinity. Enchilada was struggling to keep up with them at all. Pepito not really catching either. And that is another moment for LT Drogon, unfortunately, in the Kick Sauber. That's going to be a pit stop for him, I'm sure, as Robsu looks like he's going to make this move on Lawrence finally. It's been a long time coming, and the Finn finally gets it done. Lawrence down to P6, and he's now got LB for company, the two Sprint Season 11 teammates and long-time APP rivals. Good to see LB back on track. 4 championships, 4 Tier 2 championships between these two drivers. So they are no slouches. They have plenty of experience up their sleeves. I'm sure they're going to use that to full effect today. Pepito still got very strong pace. He's gapping Robsu now behind him. 5.5 seconds is the gap, as he still can't catch Enchilada Bad, but we could have a change for the lead. Nemesis down the inside of Kevin. He backs out of it, though, and that's going to be a lot of time loss. Yeah, look at that. Enchilada Dad gaining pretty much a second on the two Red Bulls, thanks to that little excursion, as LB makes another move, this time on aces, as maybe the mediums are starting to run out of their best period, because those hard tyres look to be fired up at this point in the race, and LB is in a great position. But as we saw yesterday, the undercut can be very, very powerful, so LB might lose out later in the race thanks to that particular strategy. But Ench now gaining a bit of time again on the two Red Bulls, thanks to their battling. A Red Bull war would be interesting, says Kevin O'Reilly in the chat, and I certainly agree with that, as Lawrence dives into the pit lane. He's fed up of these medium tyres, and judging by how well LB is doing on the hards, I'm not surprised. He does go on to those white-walled hard tyres, does the Alpine driver, and he's going to exit the pits, I think just behind True Loki God, who's coming through after he got that huge undercut. He pitted lap 3, I think. No, it was a little earlier than that. He looks like he's going for a 2-stop, though, actually, the Haas driver, because he's on 3-lap-old mediums instead of hards. So 2-stop strategy for Loki is going to be interesting to see how well that goes. Of course, the 2-stop more viable on this year's game than it has been on previous games. At least on some tracks, it certainly is. But I don't know about this one, as the two Red Bulls again battling for the lead, and this time Nemesis is your new race leader here in Tier 2. The first time he's led this race, the first time he's ever led a race in APPF1, I believe. So he'll be very happy to be in the position he is. Jacko, meanwhile, getting past JB, and RJ trying to follow him. The American driver gets it done. It's a double overtake for the Aston Martins, and JB loses 2 positions in one corner. But he'll be just looking to stay with them at this point. Inch is maintaining the gap, says Triku in the chat. Let's see Tired Egg at the end of the stint. Indeed, yeah. Won't be able to see the percentages myself, of course, but we'll be able to judge it based on how the pace is going, as Tier gets himself another track limits penalty. Meanwhile, that's going to really cost him towards the end of this one, I would imagine. As now JB is the next to peel into the pits, getting off of those useless seeming medium tyres. Lawrence, where is he? He's coming through the last corner now. He's going to be well ahead of the Williams. of JB as the two Astons now swap, but at the cost of a time penalty for RJ. Here comes JB, out the pits he comes. I think he's going to be actually even behind Cavalis here. The Sauber driver, where's the Williams? There it is, coming out the pit lane. So Cavalis just ahead of JB, who exits in 13th position for now, but on the medium tyres, so that's a two-stop for sure for the Williams driver. Interesting strategies happening up and down the grid here. Fascinating battle is in store for us. As now LB, the head of this pack, is 2 seconds clear of Robsu. Those hard tyres working their magic at the moment for the Haas driver as he looks to chase after this man, Popito, who's had a very lonely race so far in his McLaren, but he's doing an excellent job on those medium tyres. He's in 4th place, 3 seconds behind Ench, and that gap has grown. Oh, a little moment there on the exit of the left-hander with the camber out of that corner. It's so difficult to hold the rears in place as Lawrence and Loki have a little bit of a battle further back. Lovely side-by-side action between these two as Loki gets a little bit out of sorts on the exit, but so does Lawrence, and he does have to concede that one eventually, but he is on the warpath on those hard tyres, and those mediums can't be in the best of shape already after 4 laps if people are pitting after 8 already. And talking of which, Jackalacco the next to bail into the pit lane, presumably for the hards himself as well. Nemesis and Kevin still very close together at the front. Enchilada Dad just under 2 seconds behind. He's kept that gap relatively stable. He's done a decent job out there so far since losing the DRS, as LB is catching the McLaren of Pepito, who's losing time quite rapidly now to the top 3. I think struggling on those medium tyres a little more than he perhaps anticipated. I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the pits at the end of this lap. He doesn't seem to be having a nice time on those tyres anymore, and LB is catching him at a rate of knots. This could be a fantastic result on the cards for LB Racing if he can keep this up, as Nemesis and Kevin once again swapping positions. They're working well together so far, these Red Bulls, but it is allowing Ench to catch up because they're in each other's dirty air each lap. And the Irishman perhaps smelling blood as he sees that gap no longer going up and instead coming down, certainly through some corners. He's doing a great job in that V-carb of keeping the Red Bulls honest for now. Popito 4 seconds back now as LB catches him by another second. Is it a pit stop for the McLaren? No, he's staying out again. So Pepito looking to go long on these mediums, as are the top 3, of course, have all stayed out too. Robsu also staying out there as RJ, though, peels into the pits. I can't tell if that was contact with the wall or lag, probably lag. As Lawrence now coming through the last corner. Loki God is not quite able to stay in his DRS, and he's just about got it down towards turn 1, but I think that's going to be the last time he gets it from the back of the Alpine. Lawrence flying at the moment on these hard tyres, and Loki is going to be starting to struggle on those mediums, I think. Breaks very late into turn 1, and that is going to be his DRS probably over at that point. Cavalis up to P10, getting past JB down to turn 1 as RJ exits the pits just ahead of the Ferrari of Alex G. The P13 for now. Got Koru just behind Aces as well. They're having a battle of their own. It's not for points right now, remember. If you're new to APPF1, anyone watching, it is points for the top 15 in this league. It's 20 points for winning the race, then it's 16 for second place, 14 for third, 12 for fourth, and then it goes 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, all the way down to 1 for 15th. But meanwhile, the Red Bulls have found a second wind by the looks of it. Enchiladad 3 seconds behind now. That gap has increased by quite some distance since the last time we checked. And is it a pit stop? It is indeed for the Irishman. He's decided enough is enough. I don't think he's perhaps managed his tyres quite as well as the Red Bulls. Pepito follows him in, but it's a very slow entry into the pits for Pepito. I think he left his pit limiter on early on when he didn't need to there, so Pepito's going to lose quite a bit of time there. It's going to be a slow stop for him, as Enchilada comes out the pits. Where's he going to be? Is he in clear air? That's the key thing. It looks like it. Here comes Lawrence down the straight, but there's Ench just in front of him. Agonizingly, Lawrence will be able to see him, but I think that is where it's going to end. He's not going to be able to be close enough to battle with the champion of 2 seasons ago, as Pepito exits the pit lane in 12th place. Quite a way down. Alex with a big moment out of turn 1 just behind, as Sumo is catching up after his disastrous opening stint. He might be trying to get back into this one. He is on 10-lap-old hard tyres, so he will have to stop again, you would think, but he's given himself a shot, and if there's a safety car, of course, he'll be right back in the mix. JB getting past Cavalis. Very unorthodox place to overtake there on circuit from JB. Cavalis just taps the back of the Williams, but no harm done as they head into the left-hander. And it's now going to be DRS for the Sauber driver, and surely JB will be dispatched here on the run to the corner. I think he's got this done easily, Cavalis. He has indeed. Simple move from the Sauber driver. JB down to 9th. He's going to try and do the over and under on him, though, on the exit. He can't quite get it done. And Jackalacco just following on behind. Nothing really the Aston Martins can do at this stage, although maybe there is. Jacko sends it to the inside of JB, and there's a bit of contact on the exit. They lock wheels, and they're going to be side by side through the triple right-hander. This is going to be costing both of them a significant amount of time, but Jacko gets his way through, and RJ follows him through the penultimate corner. He dives up the inside, and the American driver gets it done. It's a fantastic move from RJ. JB down to P11, and Pepito is left out to dry here. He's on better tyres. He does make the move on JB, who looks like he just let him go there. But Pepito will be disappointed with the position he's in, because he was in a comfortable 4th place, but now he finds himself having to make up quite a bit of ground thanks to the undercut of everyone behind him. Robsu exits in 11th. He's in this train as well. It's a huge train for P6, as Lawrence will be very happy to be well clear of that chaos. As Enchiladad now only 1.4, 1.2 actually behind Kevin. Nemesis still hasn't stopped. Neither has LB, who is probably going to lead this race when Nemesis comes in. I would assume surely this lap, because Enchiladad has gained a huge amount of time from the undercut, and suddenly is back in contention to win this race. He looks more comfortable on the hards. They are going to be up to temperature already, better than the Red Bulls, but even so, he's looking comfortable at the moment, as RJ again making a move, and the 2 Astons are just following each other through every overtake at the moment. Every time Jackalacco makes a move, RJ follows shortly after. It's great teamwork from the British Racing Green cars. And they're up to 6th and 7th now, as Nemesis does finally come in. So LB is promoted to the lead of this race. It's not the net lead, but he is in the lead at the moment. As Nemesis, where's he going to exit? Enchilada just behind his teammate. Here comes Nemesis. He's well behind. He might even be behind Lawrence here. It's going to be close down towards turn 1. Lawrence down the brakes, down the gears he goes, and he is going to be just behind this Red Bull, and of course Nemesis won't have his tyres up to temperature yet, so huge opportunity for Lawrence here. 3.8 is how much time Nemesis has lost from 1 lap of staying out in those mediums. Massive, massive advantage lost there for Nemesis, as now Lawrence is going to try and chase him through the 1st and 2nd sectors, and he will have DRS down towards this long straight, and so will this man, Enchiladad. Don't count him out. He may have been 2 seconds, he may have been 3 seconds behind these Red Bulls, but that undercut he got of just 1 lap has really paid dividends. Meanwhile, Pepito making moves as he needs to on his fresher tyres. He gets past Cavalis. He does have a penalty to his name. That is a 3 seconds for track limits, but he doesn't have the DRS from Jackalacco, and that's going to be the position gone once again. The 2 Astons swap ahead, but Pepito under pressure from Robsu just behind, who has to back out of that one. And JB, is he regretting the 2-stop? I think he might be already regretting this strategy decision. I think it's medium hard all the way at this circuit by the looks of things. Maybe LB can make the hard medium work, but look at him. He's only 5 seconds in front of Kevin, and only 10 seconds in front of Nemesis. He's going to be well down. He'll be probably towards the back of the pack that's led by Jacko at the moment. He will be on mediums, but we've seen the mediums aren't particularly good on this circuit. Maybe they're better on low fuel, so we'll find out as the two Astons once again swap. But yeah, interesting times for those drivers. There was a penalty, I'm not sure who for. I think it was for Nemesis, actually. The Red Bull driver who's 3 seconds behind Enchilada Dad. He's only 1.3 ahead of Lawrence, so his position not safe, although he's definitely gapped the Alpine on this lap. So I think Nemesis should be safe for third place in this race, as long as he doesn't make any mistakes, and as long as there's no further drama to come, like a safety car. But meanwhile, Sumo and Aces side by side through Sector 1. Great racing between these two, and it's Sumo who gets the position. LB, though, leading for now, but 3.5 to Kevin. When is he going to stop? You'd have to think it's going to be a few laps yet, so he's going to be a real roadblock to these two drivers behind. The Astons once again swapping. Pepito, though, trying to go for the move on Cavalis. They go side by side into the left-hander, and maybe a little bit of contact, but I think it was all clean as Pepito now sweeps around the outside of the next corner. Cavalis leaves in the room, and it's a lovely move from Pepito, too, to get himself into 8th position. The two Astons next on his list, and he is having a wonderful race out there. It is a pit stop, though, for LB, earlier than I expected. I expected at least another couple of laps from him, but he's going to go on those mediums now. But where's he going to exit the pits? That's the crucial thing. Mediums to the end for the Haas driver, but how good are they going to be, and how far behind is he going to be? Here comes Jacko down towards turn 1. Where's the Haas driver? There he is behind. RJ gets past, but LB is going to be out right in the mix here. Cavalis having to leave him room on the inside, and LB gets ahead into 8th place, and without a penalty, he's in with a real shot here of a top 5 position in his first race back in Tier 2. Obviously he had Tier 3 yesterday and he got a very strong podium in that race, but top 5 in Tier 2 would be a great performance for him. Although those mediums are going to be struggling towards the end, probably more so than the hard tyres of the cars around them. Look at this though, Robsu sizing up a move on Cavalis. Sauber driver struggling for pace at the moment. LB sizing up a move as well on the McLaren of Pepito, who breaks late in response. It's far too late for Pepito, and LB says thank you very much. A simple overtake for him, and he just kind of scared Pepito off the road there. He didn't really have to do anything, and the McLaren went straight off into the runoff at the braking zone. So good move there from LB as he gets himself up one more position. Pepito, progress stunted a little bit, but he's still in a good position here. JB a long way back, and on those medium tyres he's going to have to stop before the end again, and it's been a pretty woeful race really for JB, this one. As, I'm not sure who that was up ahead who had a moment. I think it might have been Robsu, but I'm not sure. They go side by side, Robsu and Cavalis through turn 1. That's Robsu who prevails. And this is really the only battle on track at the moment, apart from the battle for the lead, of course. Everyone further back is a long distance apart at the moment. Sumo's just come out on fresh hard tyres a few laps ago, so he's looking to get himself a few more points from this race to salvage as much as he can. He is in the points at the moment, of course, but will he stay there is the question. Enchilada not able to live with this Red Bull at the moment in terms of pace. Well, he's not able to overtake at the very least, but he is just about staying in range at the very least. LB now with another move, this time on the Aston Martin of Jackalacco, who has to let him go. LB with the superior grip. He looks to the inside, though, does Jacko. LB tries to cover him off and does so. I don't know how pleased Jacko will be with that particular defence, but in my eyes, from first viewing, it looked perfectly fine to me. Just looked like great car placement from LB to stop Jacko going down the inside there comfortably. Pepito now with an extra 3-second penalty. He'll be disappointed with that. That could cost him quite big in this race. But there are a lot of penalties up and down the grid at the moment. LB now just behind RJ is looking to make another move, and he sends it to the inside of turn 1. That is move done for the Haas driver and his teammate making a move further back, but I think that's just for the pit stop of LB. Loki God up to 11th position as JB comes in for the hard tyres going to the end. He's decided enough is enough for this strategy. And that promotes Sumo up to 13th. It's a net 12th as well for the Ferrari driver. A decent recovery, I would say, after how far behind he was on lap 1. RJ now the next to get himself a track limits penalty. That's him up to 6, I believe. It is indeed. Oh, and a big mistake there out of the corner for RJ, completely losing the rear tyres, but he's going to survive just about, but he has lost the DRS to LB as a result, just pushing too hard to stay in range of the Haas driver. And now Jacko swaps round and is now the lead Aston Martin, but LB in a fantastic position here, could be on for 4th place even in this race. I think Nemesis is a step too far, but Lawrence certainly isn't. 4.7 is the gap. Those fresh mediums, they won't last forever, but he's making them work at the moment. As Sumo making another move up to 12th place now for the Ferrari driver, but it's now a 13-second gap to the next driver. So, and Loki only with 3 seconds of penalties to his name, so I think a long way back now for Sumo to get anything more out of this race, as Aces and Alex fighting over the last points paying position on track at the moment. They're side by side through the final sector. Cavalis into the pits as well further up, as RJ and Pepito battling through turn 1. McLaren trying to make his way through these Aston Martins, but he's not able to do it. And Enchiladad, he's lost the gap to Kevin at front. He's 1.3 behind, and now with a time penalty as well. This is now Kevin's race to lose at the front. Nemesis only 1.2 behind as well, so Ench, I think, in real danger of losing this second place that he had. Nemesis really making his tyres work, but not a lot of ERS on that Red Bull. Ench has still got plenty left. He's got 50% or so. Kevin about a quarter. So Ench doing the best out of ERS of these three. As Aston's again swapping once more. But he looks definitely to be the slowest of the three in terms of raw pace. But he's really giving it everything here. And I'm sure he's not going to let this second place go to Nemesis without a fight. Down to the final corner they go. And still a long way to go in this race, by the way. 9 laps to go. Anything can still happen. We could still have a safety car in this one. Only 1 DNF so far out of 19 drivers, and that was Randro early on. Unfortunately for him. But good to see as Koru making a move on Aces. Lawrence into the pits though, so maybe the 2-stop is the optimal strategy. Lawrence doesn't feel he can get to the end, so onto the mediums he goes. He will exit in 10th place. So this is a surprise actually, to be honest. I didn't expect this from Lawrence. I thought he was going to the end, but obviously he feels those hard tyres wouldn't have made it. So Sumo now only 7 seconds, 6 seconds actually behind his old rival. 3 seconds though is the penalties to Lawrence, and that is Aces out of this race, and that is a virtual safety car. I think Aces has just binned it. There he is. There's the stricken Alpine. I'm not quite sure where he's actually binned it. Oh, I know what's happened. He's tried to go in the pits, he's binned it in the wall, and then the game's teleported him back on the main straight. That's what's happened for sure. But it's not a full course safety car. That is very unfortunate for anyone with Aces in their fantasy team, by the way. That's minus 15 points for them. So we'll see how that goes. Hello to Kiernan in the chat. Good to see you, man. I did read your DM, by the way, that you sent me a few weeks ago, and I do appreciate it. Even after all this time, it was very nice of you to get in touch. So thank you for that. And good to see you in the chat. Supporting Koru, of course, who's down in 15th. No safety car, though, coming to his rescue. It's only a virtual safety car on circuit. And Enchiladadad looks like green flags getting underway. Drogon with a drive-through for speeding under the VSC, unfortunately for him. But Nemesis not able to get the jump on Ench. It was a great restart for Kevin up front. Popito into the pits as well. Surprising again. And a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Oh, it's absolutely gutting for Popito. What an amazing first stint he had in this Grand Prix. But it's just gone from bad to worse for the McLaren driver. He will be gutted. What a result he was on for in his first ever Tier 2 race. But it's not gone to plan. He's now going to be only just ahead of Cavalis, but with a 10-second penalty to his name, he's not in a good position at all now. And if he's unlucky, he might even miss out on points here, because Alex is only 12 or 13 seconds behind. Enchilada's defense, though, finally comes to an end. Nemesis gets through. You felt it was probably inevitable, although the Red Bull driver did go very deep there at that corner. I wonder how Ench is going to feel about that. Maybe he will feel the move was made off track and want to report that one to stewards. I didn't quite see what happened, but Nemesis did brake exceedingly late and did go very, very deep. So interesting little little situation there in the closing stage of this race. But I think that is probably defense over for Ench, unless he can stay with the Red Bull. But Nemesis has looked so much quicker than him on his charge back up towards the V-carb. Ench using some ERS up the straight, but he's too far behind on the run to turn 1. And now it's this section where Ench has been inferior to the Red Bulls all race long. Sector 1, and especially in the dirty air of the Red Bull ahead, it's going to be tricky for Ench here. Through the S's he goes. Can he stay within a decent range? He loses time there through the right-hander. And it's through here again where he loses a ton of time to the Red Bulls every lap. And once again, another 10th down. He will still have the DRS, but... oh, will he actually? 1 second. It was very, very close. So let's have a look. Does that rear wing open? The activation point is coming up around about now. There, no DRS for Enchiladadad, so I think that is game over in terms of the race win or second place for the Irish driver. And probably for the race win as well. I think Nemesis has, on balance, looked to be the fastest driver on the track today, but he's just got the strategy slightly wrong, I think. Came in a couple laps later, and it cost him so much time, and even though he's had the pace to catch up, it's too little too late, and he's got a time penalty as well. So what could have been perhaps a story for Nemesis today. But Kevin looks in full control of this one as Lawrence makes a pass further back on True Loki God for P8, and Popito making a move on Sumo as well for P10. Sumo forced a little bit wide there, but I didn't see any harm in that at all. He might be a bit irritated in the cockpit about that one, but I don't think there's anything to say about it at all. Popito getting that one done cleanly, and he's up to 10th place on those fresh medium tyres, and he's going to look to catch up the guys ahead quite quickly. And in fact, this strategy might not be so bad for these drivers that have pitted, Lawrence and Popito. They're on the mediums. They're much quicker than the old hards ahead, and they will be up all the way to the end of the race. So Lawrence potential perhaps for P6 or even 5th place if he can get this spot on. LB is going to be a step too far, especially with no penalty. But if we look at the penalties as they stand, RJ and Jacko on 6 seconds. So definitely 5th place on the cards here for Lawrence. He would be very happy with that, as he heads through the middle sector on lap 23, just 5.5 laps left to go in this very interesting opener of season 17 in tier 2. The Red Bulls look to be the cars to beat this season, but of course Kota can be a weird track, like I've said. Pace can be quite track dependent around here, as the battle is not over between these two. Loki God making a move, or trying to, on Lawrence as they go side by side again through the next corner. Lovely racing between the two of them. Lawrence battling it out. He's on the inside though for this next corner, and that's surely going to be move complete for him, or defense complete at least. And Loki trying around the outside of the triple right. That's never going to work. He's going to have to back out of that. But this battle is going to continue on, I think. By the looks of things, Loki God looks quick on those hard tyres at the moment. Drogon having a spin further back meanwhile. All the way down there in Sector 2. Down in 17th. It's not been the return to APPF1 that the Italian driver would have wanted, but it's really nice to see him back on circuit regardless. Koru in the points at the moment, at least. He's in 15th position, and he's in a net 14th because of Alex's penalty ahead. So chance for Koru here to get a couple of points out of his first outing in Tier 2. First time back in APPF1 since Season 5 as he sends it to the inside, but it's way overcooked from the Mercedes driver. He's gone very, very deep. He's got himself a track limits penalty as well. So now he's going to have to fight to get this position on track from the Ukrainian driver, and these two having a pretty titanic battle here for 14th place as Drogon does end his race in the pit lane, sadly, and that is a real shame to see. But Koru and Alex really having a scrap here, and Tia is in the mix, but he's got 9 seconds of penalties, so that is not going to help his cause one bit. Enchilada 3.5 behind the Red Bulls now. He just does not have the pace of those two Red Bulls today. And the Irishman, I think he'll feel he's maximised this one today. Don't think there's much more he could have done with the pace he's got. Nemesis not really catching Kevin either. The two Red Bulls look in a world of their own today. They've been very impressive indeed. As LB is meanwhile heading through Sector 1 with RJ 4 seconds behind with 6 seconds of penalties. It's looking like a comfortable 4th place for LB with the one-stop strategy from hard to medium. It's been a very impressive drive from the Haas driver, the two-time Tier 2 champion, showing his experience today. Popito with another time penalty. He's up to 19 seconds now, and I don't think he'll miss out on points. Alex G is 18 behind, so I think he'll at least get a couple of points for his troubles, Popito, but what could have been for him in this race? It could have been so much more, you have to feel, as Tia gives himself another track limits penalty in typical fashion. Koru is still battling it out with Alex for 14th, meanwhile. Just 3.5 laps left to go. Well, now 3 laps to go as Kevin takes us on to lap 26. This race kind of petering out a bit, I think, in the late stages, sadly. No more battles really towards the front. Everyone quite far apart at this point. I think this is a product of this new Dirty Air model in this game. Much more realistic, of course, but I think it's going to be more difficult for the action to occur. But here's some action. 14th place battle is the best one on track at the moment with Koru and Alex, but there's damage to the Ferrari. Alex going into the back of the Mercedes, I think. Really architect of his own downfall is the Ukrainian. He should still get a point out of this one as long as he doesn't drop 9 seconds behind Tia, but he'll be disappointed with that. He'll definitely feel that he could have had a much better battle with Koru all the way to the end, but Koru getting that move done up to 14th, and the damage to Alex is probably going to end this battle until the end of the race. Now, Alex catching up a bit there down towards turn 1, but it's going to be this first sector where he's going to lose all the time in the world, and the start of sector 2 as well. Yeah, the understeer through the S's is clear to see. Look at that, it's horrible to watch on board with. It must be even worse to drive. As Tia now right up to the back of this Ferrari, he will smell blood for sure. The scarlet red blood of the Ferrari is dripping from the front wing as Cavalis now getting a move done on Sumo for P11. It's not a position he will keep thanks to the penalty, but It's good to get that done on track. It gives him a buffer to JB as well. What's happened? It's RJ Blair. He's spun for the second time today, and this time it's cost him a few more positions. Obviously not as damaging as his spin earlier on in the race. I don't know how he recovered from that, by the way. An incredible recovery from the American driver, but even so, that is going to cost him another 3 positions, I would have thought, because now Loki's in the hunt for P8 thanks to the penalty situation. Lawrence now, though, right behind Robsu. He is looking to secure that P5, but he needs to clear the Finnish driver. They were battling at the start of this race, these two. They're having a lovely little scrap, lap after lap, and now they meet on track once again after pretty much the entire mid part of the race being far apart on circuit. Now they meet again, and Lawrence is the attacker on the Finnish driver. He wants this P6, and it's going to be P5 after Jacko's penalty. If that stays as it is. Here they go down towards the corner, but Lawrence is too far behind. He's going to have to wait until the final lap of this one to try and get this move done. He's have to hope as well that Jacko doesn't give Robsu DRS, because that's going to make his job even harder. And he's now going to have to contend with the dirty air behind the V-carb. Jacko looks to be struggling for pace, and Robsu is going to take full advantage of that, or hope to at least, in his V-carb, as they head through the final sector. And, well, I think RJ's race today proves just how good a drive he had yesterday. It's easy to see him take pole by 3/10 and then win the race and think, oh, well, it was easy for him, you know, a simple win. And I know it meant a lot to him, of course, after a long time out, but, you know, it looked like, you know, he's the fastest car on track. It wasn't too bad, but here he is finishing behind Robsu and LB, who are both in that race yesterday, with a couple spins as well. So it proves he had a great drive yesterday. It wasn't just that he had the natural pace advantage. He did drive very, very well to take that win yesterday, and fully deserves it. But Robsu and Lawrence here, through they go in the middle sector. Now Lawrence just behind. Can he snatch P6? And it would be a net P5 at the death here on the final lap, nearly into the back of the V-carb as they head through this last corner before the long straight. No DRS for Robsu. It's a perfect situation for Lawrence. They're both using everything they've got in ERS, but here comes the Alpine driver, the British driver, to the outside, and it looks like the move will be done. Robsu brakes as late as he dares, but it's not enough to keep Lawrence behind. But what a drive it's been from Kevin on his Tier 2 debut. He wins the American Grand Prix. Nemesis comes home in second place to make it a 1-2 for Red Bull. Enchilada P3, I think the maximum he could extract from this race today. LB comes through the last few corners. What a drive for him as well. He'll be absolutely delighted with a 4th place finish. Round the final corner he goes. It's a masterful strategy and a great drive from LB. Lawrence finishes in P5, a great recovery from the pit stop. Robsu 6th, Jacko P7, RJ comes home for 8th, Papito 9th on track, but how far will he drop after the penalties? It's going to be P12, 13 for Papito. He'll be gutted with that. It could have been so much more. Sumo in 9th place. That is a class recovery, actually, to be fair, you've got to say, from the Ferrari driver, given the woeful lap 1 he had. Cavalis comes home in 10th place. These two, Sumo and Cavalis, were battling throughout the sprint and getting on each other's nerves, so interesting to see them close together again in Tier 2. True Loki God for P11 on debut in Tier 2. JB P12, a long way down. Unexpected, that one. Papito 13th. Koru takes home a couple of points in 14th, and Alex G takes home the last point in 15th position. Whew. Yeah, no, they are different Kevins. Kevin O'Reilly is not the same as this Kevin, I can assure you. If you ask, have we ever seen them in the same race together? I believe we actually have, yes. So don't worry about that. There we go. Champagne on the podium. An intriguing season opener in Tier 2 here in Texas. It's Kevin who wins the race. Fastest lap, though, for Lawrence. An extra point to him. We do still have the extra point in APP, even after F1 removed it, which is very silly. Driver of the day goes to Lawrence from the game. I will make my decision on that in a moment. Most overtakes for Jacko, and Sumo giving us the cleanest driver. There you go. Kevin, though, taking the win ahead of Nemesis and Ench, like I said. Lawrence with the fastest lap in P5, and just to finish off the order from earlier, Tia in 16th place, and then DNFs for Drogon, Aces, and unfortunately Randro on debut. DNFing very early on in the race, so I do wonder what happened to him. Stay tuned, I will be interviewing Enchiladadad briefly to finish this one off. So we'll see if we can get him into the party in just a second. I'll just wait a minute or two for Ench. Here he is. Well, Enchilada, P3 for you today, and it's a good start to your campaign, and you'll probably feel you got the absolute most you could out of this race, but it looked like those Red Bulls just a little too fast for you.
Yeah, definitely. That was the best I could have hoped for, to be honest. I had to push extremely hard just to keep with them, to be honest, and once the tyre wear got too much, I just dropped off, and I probably should have, in the second stint, tried focusing more on just sticking with and making sure not to get the 3 seconds. But either way, I think I was getting third place, so it's the best result I could have asked for, I guess.
Yeah, indeed. It's a good start to the campaign. I'm sure you'll hope that the Red Bull's pace is track dependent today. But how is the situation on the new game in terms of how the racing works? Because obviously very different to last year's game on F1 24. You've got a lot more dirty air. The tyre wear is a lot more pronounced, as you found out as your stints wore on. But how does it feel to race on this year's game?
Considering everyone prefers it so much, I wouldn't say I even prefer it yet. Well, maybe I'll just take more time to get used to it, but it's probably around the same in terms of enjoy. Doesn't feel the same, but like I don't like it more yet. It's a bit more unpredictable, but also better when it's good. And also the tire wear. If that's like that for every track, then like I was almost at puncture territory at the end of my last stint. I don't know if that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you know, a lot of people went for 2 stops. Didn't feel that they could make the 1 stop work. All of the top 4, I think, you all went for a 1 stop, but Lawrence in 5th was on a 2 stop. I think Popito went for a 2 stop. It didn't work for him, but that's because he had other issues. But yeah, there were a few others. So I think we are going to see more of that this year as well. So there will be tracks where the 2 stop is better, which, yeah, exactly, it adds some excitement with the strategy. It's not just everyone in the same thing. So, you know, I mean, how did you feel as the tyres got more worn? Because what I've heard is that it's a lot harder to drive on the worn tyres on this game. Would you agree with that?
Not fully, because they just wore faster, which made it harder. But like the numbers relative to like the numbers were going up faster, but like I saw shit I'm in like the 60s, but it didn't really feel like it too much. So like I wouldn't say it. Maybe a little bit harder, but not anything crazy. But it just went up faster, which it made it harder for sure.
Oh, fair enough. Well, congratulations on a podium for round number 1, as always. How do you feel about the rest of the calendar? Are there any tracks that stick out as ones you're looking forward to, or any that you're really dreading, or is it kind of neutral throughout, would you say?
Those kind of probably one of the ones I look forward to the most, though. So. But I don't think there's anything terrible there. But I'm looking forward to the reverse race just to see what happens.
I'm sure you are. But no, it was a great performance from you, and congratulations on a P3. I'm sure I'll be speaking to you again later this season. So well done, H, and enjoy your week.
Thanks. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much to Ench for joining me, and thank you all for joining me in the chat. It's been a pleasure to commentate, as always, on Tier 2, and you will hear from me throughout the rest of this season, as always, barring any issues. But thank you all very, very much for listening and watching. It's been an absolute pleasure, like I said. RJ in the chat saying, will this stream be available to view afterwards? Thank you for reminding me. I need to check the settings before I end the stream, just to make sure I don't lose it. So I will quickly go and have a look at that just before I end. So I will mute my mic and just leave the stream running for a few minutes just before, to allow me to check that. But yes, I will be uploading it to YouTube afterwards, so you won't lose it after 2 weeks like you lose videos on Twitch. Usually I'll upload it to my YouTube, so don't worry about that. Yeah, thank you for joining us, Kieran. Great to see you in the chat, mate. Good to see you around, and hope you'll be around to support Koru for the rest of the season as well. But yes, thank you all very much, and with that I think I will leave you. But actually, I've got to decide my driver of the day first. You know what? I think I'm going to give it to LB. I think he deserves it. Lawrence also had an excellent drive, but LB, strategic masterclass, starting on the hards and going to the mediums later on. It avoided all of the carnage. I think that was the key really for him. He avoided having to drive in others' dirty air, and he was in clean air for pretty much the entire race, which helped him out quite a bit. He made some great overtakes in the first stint, don't get me wrong, but even so, I think that purely for the strategy, I think it has to go to LB today. So congrats to him, and congrats to all our drivers. And thank you all, like I said, very much for watching. I will see you all next week, where we will be heading to Melbourne for round number 2. So stay tuned for that. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.